crimson sun dipped below the horizon of the distant planet Alara, casting long shadows over the golden dunes. Lieutenant Adrian Hayes stood on the observation deck of the Arcadia, the interstellar ship tasked with exploring uncharted territories. His gaze was fixed on the planet's 2 moons as they rose in perfect synchrony. The beauty of the moment was fleeting, his mind too preoccupied with the mission ahead to savor it. Alara was not just another planet in their star charts. It was home to the elusive Zalari, an alien species known for their advanced intellect and mysterious culture. The crew of the Arcadia had been sent to forge an alliance, but Adrian knew there was more to the mission than diplomacy. Rumors swirled about the Zalari possessing a technology capable of altering the fabric of spacetime. The thought of such power made the mission all the more perilous. Adrian's thoughts were interrupted by the soft chime of the comm system. "Lieutenant Hayes, report to the briefing room," a voice announced. He turned on his heel and made his way through the sterile, dimly lit corridors of the ship. The tension among the crew was palpable. They had spent weeks studying the Zalari culture, but there was an undercurrent of fear that no amount of preparation could dispel. The briefing room was already buzzing with activity when Adrian arrived. Captain Elise Marlowe stood at the head of the table, her steely gaze commanding silence as the crew settled into their seats. Beside her was Dr. Mira Solis, the Arcadia's xenobiologist, who had spent years studying alien languages and physiology. "We've made contact with the Zalari," Captain Marlowe began, her voice measured and deliberate. "They have agreed to meet with us on neutral ground. Dr. Solis will lead the diplomatic team. Lieutenant Hayes, you'll be her security detail." Adrian nodded, his expression unreadable. He knew better than to let his emotions show. "Understood, Captain." Dr. Solis stepped forward, her holographic tablet displaying a 3-dimensional map of the rendezvous point. "The meeting will take place at a ceremonial hall they call the Temple of Vows. It's sacred ground, so we'll need to adhere strictly to their customs. One misstep could jeopardize the mission." As the team discussed protocols, Adrian's attention was drawn to the holographic image of a Zalari female. Her features were ethereal, almost human-like, but her eyes glowed with an iridescent light, and her skin shimmered as though dusted with stardust. "That's Lyra," Dr. Solis said, noticing Adrian's gaze. "She's their envoy. The Zalari have chosen her to represent them in our negotiations." Adrian studied the image intently. There was something enigmatic about Lyra, something that stirred a strange sense of unease within him. But he dismissed the feeling, focusing instead on the mission. The landing party descended to Alara's surface in a sleek shuttle, the golden sands glinting under the twin moons. The Temple of Vows rose from the dunes like a monument from another time, its spires reaching toward the heavens. The structure seemed alive, pulsating faintly as though breathing in harmony with the planet itself. Lyra awaited them at the entrance, flanked by 2 other Zalari. Her presence was commanding yet graceful, her luminous eyes scanning the humans with curiosity. "Welcome to Alara," she said, her voice melodic and soothing, yet laced with an undercurrent of authority. Dr. Solis stepped forward, offering a respectful bow. "Thank you, Lyra. We are honored to be here." The group entered the temple, its interior a dazzling display of crystalline walls and flowing energy streams. Lyra led them to a circular chamber where a table of light materialized from the floor. The negotiations began, but Adrian's focus wavered. He found himself drawn to Lyra, her every movement and word captivating. Yet, there was something else, a faint sense of danger that he couldn't shake. As the hours passed, an agreement seemed within reach. Lyra spoke of unity, of sharing knowledge for mutual benefit. But Adrian noticed the way her gaze occasionally flickered toward him, as if she were trying to gauge his thoughts. He remained stoic, his training keeping his emotions in check. After the meeting, Lyra approached Adrian as the others prepared to leave. "Lieutenant Hayes," she said softly, her glowing eyes meeting his. "May I speak with you privately?" Adrian hesitated, but he nodded. "Of course." She led him to a secluded balcony overlooking the dunes. The air was cool, the twin moons casting an otherworldly glow. Lyra seemed different now, her composure giving way to a trace of vulnerability. "You're not like the others," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I sense a strength in you, but also a burden." Adrian's guard remained up. "What do you want from me?" Her luminous eyes dimmed slightly, and she stepped closer. "There is something you must know," she said urgently. "The alliance we offer comes with a price. My people are not what they seem." Adrian frowned. "What are you saying?" Lyra looked away, her expression pained. "The technology we possess, the one your leaders seek, is not a gift. It's a curse. It was created to preserve life, but it has become something far more dangerous. If you take it, it will destroy you." Adrian's mind raced. Was this a warning or a manipulation? "Why are you telling me this?" She met his gaze, her eyes filled with a sorrow that seemed infinite. "Because I have no choice. Her words faltered, and she suddenly clutched her chest, a look of anguish crossing her face. Adrian reached out to steady her. "Lyra, what's wrong?" "They're watching me," she whispered. "They will know I've told you. Please, you must leave. Take your people and go before it's too late." Before Adrian could respond, Lyra straightened, her expression transforming into a mask of calm. She stepped back, her composure restored. "Forgive me," she said, her voice devoid of the warmth it had moments ago. "I've said too much." As she turned to leave, Adrian's instincts screamed at him that something was terribly wrong. But he knew better than to confront her here, under the watchful eyes of her people. Back on the Arcadia, Adrian reported the encounter to Captain Marlowe. The captain listened intently, her expression grim. "If what she says is true, this changes everything. But we can't act on suspicion alone. We need evidence." Over the next few days, Adrian worked tirelessly to uncover the truth. He pored over data collected during their stay on Alara, searching for any clue that might corroborate Lyra's warning. His persistence paid off when he discovered an encrypted signal embedded in the Zolari's communications. With the help of the ship's tech team, he decoded it, revealing a chilling message. The Zolari's technology was indeed a double-edged sword. It could manipulate space-time, but it required a living host to power it. The hosts were consumed in the process, their life force drained to sustain the technology. The Zolari had been using their own people as sacrifices, and now they sought to expand their reach by offering the technology to other species. Adrian brought his findings to Captain Marlowe, who immediately called an emergency meeting. "We're pulling out," she announced. "This alliance is a trap. We'll report our findings to command and warn them of the danger." As the Arcadia prepared to leave Alara's orbit, Adrian couldn't shake the memory of Lyra's plea. He knew she had risked everything to warn him, and he couldn't abandon her to face the consequences alone. Against orders, he returned to the surface, slipping away under the cover of darkness. He found Lyra waiting for him at the Temple of Vows. Her expression was one of both relief and fear. "You came back," she said softly. "I couldn't leave without you," Adrian replied. "You don't have to stay here. Come with me." Tears shimmered in her luminous eyes. "I can't. My people would never forgive me. But you must go. Promise me you'll never return." Before Adrian could respond, a deafening roar filled the air. Zolari guards surrounded them, their weapons trained on him. Lyra stepped in front of Adrian, her arms outstretched. "Let him go," she demanded. "He knows nothing." The guards hesitated, but a commanding voice cut through the tension. "Take them both." Adrian and Lyra were dragged back to the temple, where the Zolari elders awaited them. The elders' eyes burned with an intensity that made Adrian's blood run cold. "You have betrayed us, Lyra," one of them said. "And you, human, have meddled in affairs beyond your understanding." Adrian braced himself for the worst, but Lyra stepped forward, her voice steady. "If you harm him, you'll lose the alliance. The humans will retaliate." The elders conferred silently before finally relenting. "Take the human and leave," they said. "But if he ever returns, it will mean war." Adrian was escorted back to the shuttle, his heart heavy as he left Lyra behind. As the Arcadia departed Alara, He couldn't shake the image of her standing alone in the temple, her luminous eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and resolve. Back among the stars, Adrian made a silent vow. He would find a way to help Lyra and expose the Zalari's dark secret to the galaxy. The mission had ended, but his fight was just beginning.